Good day, Sint Maarten. About a week ago, our Parliament had our meeting on Ennia and whether or not we would support the agreement that we call the headline agreement with an addendum in order to provide for the policyholders. Now, I've had a lot of people that asked me about my vote. I've had a lot of people that ask me about the Ennia situation because I do think it's a very complex one, and I will try my very best in a concise manner to explain the whole ordeal, or what I like to refer to as a bailout of a private company. And from about a year ago when this came on the floor, there was so little information coming. I had a lot of questions, and I had already known that with all of the questions that I had with actually not insufficient answers, that I couldn't support it. And the fact that the less I know about something, the less likely I am to support it. And obviously, somehow, this Ennia bailout was tied with our liquidity loans, our loans that we had from the Netherlands. Because of that, I feel like there is a constant threat or a constant pressure on our country, Sint Maarten, to decide on something hastily because of the fact, because of the threat that comes with a higher interest rate for not deciding on something, or not making a decision, taking a decision with Ennia that was then linked with how we can do our refinancing with the Netherlands at low interest rates. So now let's go back to Ennia. What we know about Ennia is, I can say that Ennia was one of the more popular companies that provided life insurance, health insurance, and pensions. This is a very hasty summary. Ennia is with a group of companies, and part of their how do you say, their value came with a high estimation linked with the property of Mulla Bay. Now, what happened is funds were taken out of the companies, and because there was a high value property linked with this whole umbrella group of companies, things looked okay until they weren't okay anymore. Now, as we know, insurance companies and banks are regulated by the Central Bank of Curaçao and Sint Maarten. And part of the task of the Central Bank of Curaçao and Sint Maarten is to review the financials of these companies, to act as a regulator, to make sure that everything that they say is there makes sense and is being responsibly managed. And from 2018 is when red flags were raised earlier on. 2018 is when the company of Ennia came under supervision. And then here we fast forward to 2023 when it first came to Parliament, where it's tied with refinancing with the Netherlands. And now we are in a situation where there are about approximately 30,000 policyholders, made up of about 27,000 in Curaçao and about 3,000 in Sint Maarten. And when I say in the respective countries, I mean the policies were opened in those countries. What came about as a way to take care of this issue is that because monies were pulled out of Ennia, what would eventually happen is that policyholders wouldn't be able to get their pensions. So if money wasn't put back in to the company, there would come a point where the monies would run out from Ennia, and now Curaçao and Sint Maarten with the central bank have to bail out this company. So what we're looking at is this. Those policyholders paid money from when they were working into their pension. And even though policyholders are still getting their pension since 2018, the issue we're dealing with is that money will run out. So we have to supplement it somehow, which is why this came on the table between the three entities, and a fourth one being added in, which is the Netherlands. So the Netherlands for our refinancing of loans, Central Bank of Curaçao and Sint Maarten, which is the regulator, Sint Maarten, and Curaçao. And they came up with an agreement that was called a headline agreement. And what we have is that this was attached with an addendum. What you have been hearing about is that there's a savings of 37 million, and we're only hearing about a savings of 37 million. We're not hearing about what is the real details of this agreement. And what I can tell you is this. Sint Maarten's portion will tie us into a loan for 30 years. There is some discussion linked with how we go about accessing funds or providing funds to supplement the shortfalls that they would have because money's disappeared. and how we're going to take care of this. I've created I'm trying to create a very simplified manner based on whatever props we had in the room. And what I want to refer to it as is just whatever we had, right? So if I could zoom into this, we have a glitter bottle, which represents the dividends, which is what we would get paid out from the Central Bank of Curaçao and Sint Maarten if everything works fine. We have a bottle of honey, which I refer to the resolution fund. We have the budget of Sint Maarten, which is water because there's really nothing in it. You know, it's nothing exciting, and our budget is very lean. And right now we are in budget debate because we had to cut about 30 million from the budget. So the water is just, there's nothing, right? So there's not much substance in it right now. And the peak facilities are matuks, right? Are very spicy because if we touch this, there's going to be fireworks because there's a lot of costs associated with it. The reason I chose this way is because of the fact that you could see the link through everyone. Now, I want to remind everyone that my position as a member of parliament is to make a decision that is in the best interest of the people I represent. And that means everyone across the board in Sint Maarten. So when I make a decision, especially one of a financial nature, it is my background. I don't know everything in finance, but I do things in a way, if I find that there's too much risk, if there's too much uncertainty, if there's too much that remains unanswered that I can't prove, then I prefer not to support something. And I want to restate what my motivation was when I voted. We have been constantly told that there's about 3,084 to be exact policy holders. And in the same manner that I could review documents that are considered confidential, where I have to be observed by a worker in the parliament building to ensure that I don't take any pictures or any notes of the confidential documents, I strongly believe that the same rules apply if I wanted to look at confidential documents relating to policyholders. Now, my background is that I would finance companies based on the evidence in front of me, something tangible. And the way that I look at Sint Maarten at this scenario is that Sint Maarten is financing 3,084 policyholders that I don't know, I haven't seen, I don't know they exist. I'm taking the words of the Central Bank of Curaçao and Sint Maarten, who is responsible for being the regulator, as gospel truth, as the absolute truth that I can trust everything on, from the person who was in charge of making sure that this company wasn't put in a financial predicament or wasn't put in a situation where there was no cash left in and it was supplemented by something out there that was overvalued, which most people have been talking about is Molebay. So I would never, ever finance or give money for something that I cannot prove exists. It doesn't mean that these don't exist. I constantly for 1 year asked, what is the basis of this money that we are going as a country going to supplement and provide for policyholders? What is the basis of this calculation? What does it consist of? All I hear is 3,084 policyholders. Now, with my conservative and risk-averse way of life, I was not comfortable tying in the people of this island, the country of Sint Maarten, to a 30-year loan when I personally believe that the money that we are doing for this, we're potentially going to put in, could better serve our health situation that we have. It could supplement our housing issues. There's so much that we could do with this extra money that we're going to be using, this extra money that we're supposedly getting in dividends from the central bank to cover the policyholders that I found it very hard to agree with it. And that's why I did not agree with it.